Alright guys, this is 4.3, and we're going to be looking at factoring when our first term, or a term, is not 1, and also when it can't be factored out by a GCF. So if we have an a term of something that's not 1 and we can't factor out a GCF, we're going to use a method called slide and divide. So the first thing that we're going to do is slide our a term to the end of the trinomial. So if my a term is 3, in this case I'm going to slide it over, and I'm going to multiply it by my c term. So my new trinomial is going to be x squared minus 2x minus 15. So you slide to the end and multiply. The next step is going to be to just factor that new trinomial like normal. So remember, our b term goes on top, our c term goes on the bottom, and we are looking for the factors of -2, that was backwards. We are looking for the factors of -15 that add to be 2. So in this case, it's going to be -5 and 3. So those are going to be our factors over there. But since we slid and multiplied, we're going to have to account for that at some point. So our next step is going to be to divide by that number that we slid. So we slid that 3 over, so we're going to divide both of our constants by 3, and we're going to simplify that. So if it simplifies nicely, like 3 over 3, we're just going to simplify it like normal, so x plus 1. If it doesn't simplify nicely, like in this one where we've got -5 over 3, we're going to slide the denominator up next to our x. So that becomes 3x minus 5. Then to solve, we're just going to set both of those factors equal to 0 and solve for x. So let's look at the first example. So firstly, I'm going to slide my a term over and multiply it by c. So we're going to do x squared plus 5x plus 6 equals 0. And I want the factors of 6 that add to be 5. And I know a lot of you are probably thinking 6 and 1, but that would have to be 6 and -1, and both of these are positive. So we're actually going to be dealing with 3 and 2 here. So my new factors are going to be x plus 3 and x plus 2. And starting out, I multiplied by that 2, so now I'm going to divide by 2, both of my constants. So my first one, 3, does not divide by 2 nicely, so I'm going to slide that up next to my variable, so it's going to be 2x plus 3. And my next one, 2 divided by 2 is just 1, so x plus 1. And remember, that's equal to 0, so we're going to set both of those factors equal to 0 and solve. So here we're going to subtract 3, so 2x equals -3, divided by 2, x is -3 halves. For this one, we're just going to subtract our 1, so x equals -1. So our factors were 2x plus 3 and x plus 1, and then our solutions, when we set it equal to 0 and solve, where x equals -3 halves and -1. Alright, another example, we're going to slide our a term and multiply, so x squared minus 17x plus 30, because 5 times 6 is 30, equals 0. And we want to find our factors of 30 that add to be -17. So that is going to be 15 and 2. And both of those are going to be negative because we've got a positive 30 and a -17. So our factors right now are going to be x minus 15, x minus 2, and we multiplied by that 5, so we're going to divide both of those by 5 now. Then we'll simplify. So x minus 15 over 5 is going to be 3. And then this one does not simplify nicely, so we'll bring our 5 out in front. So 5x minus 2. So those are our factors, x minus 3 and 5x minus 2. Now we just need to set equal to 0 and solve. So for x minus 3, we're going to just add 3 to both sides. So x equals 3. And our other factor, we're going to do 5x minus 2 equals 0. We'll add 2 and divide by 5. So we've got 2/5. Couple more examples. This one we will slide our a term over and multiply. So x squared minus 11x plus 30 equals 0. And we want factors of 10 that add to be negative 11. So for this one, we're going to have negative 10 and negative 1. X minus 10 and x minus 1. And we multiplied by 3, so we're going to divide by 3 now. And these do not simplify nicely, so I'm going to just bring them both out in front of that x. So we've got 3x minus 10 and 3x minus 1. Those are our factors. And if we solve, we're going to set both of those equal to 0. So for this one, I'll add 10 on both sides. 3x equals 10. And x is going to be 10 over 3. And for the second factor, we're going to add 1 on both sides and divide by 3. Alright, last example like this, we're going to slide our 8 over and multiply. So we've got x squared minus 10x minus 24, because 8 times 3 is 24. And we want our factors of negative 24 that add to be negative 10. Okay, so for that one, we are going to have 12 and 2, I believe. So we're going to have negative 12 and positive 2. So our factors are x minus 12 and x plus 2. And that's all equal to 0. But we can't stop there because we multiplied by 8 in the beginning, so now we have to divide by 8. And these do not simplify nicely. So we're going to bring that out in front. So it's going to be 8x minus 12. Actually, this one we can simplify a little bit. So 12 over 8 simplifies to, if we divide both of those by 4, that's going to be the same thing as 3 over 2. Okay, and then we can also simplify 2 over 8. That's going to be 1 over 4. So they're as simple as possible. Now we're going to move that denominator to the front. So 2x minus 3 and 4x plus 1 are our factors. And then we'll set them equal to 0 and solve. So for 2x minus 3, I'm going to add 3 to both sides and divide by 2. So x is 3 over 2. And then my other one, 4x plus 1, I'll subtract my 1 and divide by 4. So it's negative 1/4.